Just like to say a big thanks to everyone for joining today's webinar, in where we'll be exploring if volunteer impact is the right software for your volunteer organisation. So just a little bit about your host, myself. I'm Daniel Green. I am the software sales advisor here at Better Impact, supporting small to enterprise-sized organisations across UK, Europe and Africa, all exploring our software solutions. You can probably guess from my accent already that I am born and raised right down in the southeast in Essex, UK. I have been with Better Impacts now for just over 4.5 years. And during this time, it's just been a real pleasure helping and supporting people to achieve their goals, which is something I'm really passionate about as well. So that's enough about me. Let's move on to the next slide. So just some of the benefits are listed on your screen that you'll be taking away from today's webinar. These will include common problems facing volunteer service teams. We'll have a quick program assessment combined with 3 questions. Why the right software tools matter. We'll also have a high-level overview of volunteer impact. And stick around towards the end because I will be sharing a few resources and a link to obtain your PDU certificate for attending today. If you're not too sure what a PDU certificate is, it stands for a Professional Development Unit, sometimes also referred to as a CEC, which is a Continued Education Credit. So, yep, stick around. I'll be sharing that link towards the end. So, just some of the problems that you may come across in your daily routines, which may have even led you to attend today's webinar. Some of these issues could include too much data entry, having that daunting feeling of filling out forms or spreadsheets, whether it's for personal user information or purely for reporting purposes. Using disconnected tools to do your job and not having that all-in-one stop shop for your needs, or having a streamlined platform to manage all this, which ultimately leads me on to not having enough time to actually lead and engage with your volunteers, which, as you know, can lead to a breakdown of communications or lack of interactions. Finding affordable tools that leadership will approve. So we all know everyone has a budget, right? And there are some affordable tools out there, and sometimes you may just have to consider what is this costing you and your company in lack of software, which hopefully you can bring to the table for your leadership team to approve. And then it could be having insufficient security of your confidential data, which, as we all know, is very crucial in this day and age of modern technology. Well, hopefully for most of you, Better Impact has that solution. So talking of security, protecting your volunteers' data. So how can you tell if a VMS vendor prioritizes data protection? One easy way to tell is to look for the ISO certification. So ISO 27001 is the world's best known standard for information security management systems. ISO certification means that the VMS vendor respects all the best practices and principles enshrined in this international standard. So having the actual certificate rather than simply following the guidelines is an important distinction because it means the vendor has been audited by an independent body once a year to make sure them standards are being met. So you'll be pleased to know that we are one of these vendors with ISO 27001. And we are also Cyber Essentials certified as well. So so your data is in safe hands. Okay, so we're just going to go through a few questions, everyone. Feel free to submit your answers into the chat box. You could choose more than one or all of them if these kind of tick your boxes. So we'll start off with question 1. Which problem resonated with you the most from the last slide? Is it number 1, too much data entry? Number 2, using too many disconnected tools to do your job? Number 3, not enough time to lead and engage with your volunteers? Number 4, affordable tools leadership will approve? Or is it number 5, insufficient security of your confidential data? So, yep, feel free to pop your answers in the box. I'll share with everyone your answers. And again, this could be more than one. I'll give you about 30 seconds to crack on with that. Thank you, everyone. So Jesse Watts, all of them. Yep, absolutely. Joe Stokes, 1 and 3. Let me have a look. Abida's put 1. Dominique, 3 and 4. But actually most interested in using for training. Number 3 from Kevin. Misha, Nesta, 2 and 5, a little bit of each. Absolutely. So like I say, this could be 1, 2, 3, all of them. Does seem to be 1 and 3 seems to be the front runners there. Too much data entry and not enough time to engage with your volunteers, which is definitely some common problems. Thanks, everyone. On to question 2. So how are you managing your volunteers currently? Number 1, spreadsheets. Number 2, AVMS, which is a volunteer management software, or is it 3 something else? And feel free, if it is answers 2 or 3, just to share what it is you're currently using. Thanks, everyone. Oh, so yeah, most people there have put number 1, Blood Cancer UK 1 and 3, number 1 spreadsheets. And John Malone 1 and 3. So yeah, this seems to be the common issue, and the common answer is number 1, which I'm guessing that's pointing towards something like Excel spreadsheets and Google Forms and so on. Excellent, thanks everyone. And lastly, on to question 3. In your opinion, what's most at risk if a change doesn't occur sooner rather than later? Number 1, volunteer turnover disengagement. Number 2, staff turnover disengagement. Number 3, wasted money. Number 4, damage to the org's program's reputation. Or is it something else at number 5? Again, if you wouldn't mind popping your answers in, we'll see what comes up. So Joe's put 2 and 3. Yep, staff turnover disengagement and wasted money. Misha's 1, 2 and 4. Dominique, number 5, volunteers not consistently trained. Absolutely, it's all about the volunteers and obviously getting them educated on your programs. That's an important trait. Jesse, 2 and 4. Staff turnover, damaged org's reputation. Elizabeth, 3, wasted time, need user-friendly system. Wasted effort, absolutely. Excellent, thanks everyone. So yeah, a mixture of results there for question 3. We normally do find that it could normally be 1 and 3 from previous webinars I've held that are normally the front runners on this one. But thanks everyone. So just rolling off a couple of stats now. Did you know that more than half of all employees are unhappy at work because of the software tools they're using? Have you ever become dissatisfied or know someone that's become dissatisfied at work due to missing or mismatched software? Well, 51.95% says yes. Just to let you know, these stats have come from the G2's 2019 State of Software Happiness Report. So being provided the right tools to perform the job plays into our level of job satisfaction. When the right tools are not in place, our level of efficiency and effectiveness decreases. So this is just one factor that can contribute towards our unhappiness in our job role. This is quite an alarming stat. So about 1 in every 8 employees has actually quit a job because of mismatched software. The fact that this is a cited reason for people leaving a job speaks to just how important it is to outfit employees with the right tools for the job. So turnover is disruptive to progress and goal attainment as well. So let's get you and your team working with the tools that make you feel less frustrated and rather more empowered and productive when you do your job. And now it's time to explore volunteer impact and how you can achieve just that. So I'm just going to stop and share my other screen. So, yep. So what we're going to be doing now is a high level overview of Better Impact. I'd love to show you all the features and everything, but obviously time's against us. So when you log in into your Better Impact account, this is what you're presented with. This is what we call your dashboard. Okay. Just to let you know, we do have two different editions of Better Impact. We have a standard edition and an enterprise edition. So the enterprise edition works well if you're an organization that has kind of multiple departments, locations, or even shops and branches, which we call sub-accounts. Okay. So that's really works well if you're an organization that your department or your team only need to manage, communicate with, and interact with their volunteers. So this represents either a sub-account within an enterprise or our standard edition where all admins can see, interact with, and manage all user profiles. So when you log in, yep, this is what you're presented with. So today we're going to go through these main icons at the top. But what I'm going to focus on firstly is how you can create content and advertise your general interests, your activities. So something we can create is called a public page, which could look something like this. So when you want to create a news feed, you'll be able to do so. This is all branded by your organization. So I'm just using my example City Museum. This is what we call a banner. So all this will be branded to your organization's logo. You'll even be able to customize the color of these tabs as well, just to match your organization's kind of color theme as well. So, yep, you will be able to showcase a news feed. You'll also be able to create and show off some general interests, which are more like want ads. So these are like areas, fields of interest, basically, that volunteers, applicants are interested in. So this could be things like administration, boards and committees, guest services, gift shop. My demo account is based upon a museum. You can add as much info as you like within these general interests. You can also add some images to give more content on that general interest. And you can have the option to also display and showcase your actual activities that, volunteers and applicants could sign up for as well. And then right at the bottom, you do have an about us. It's kind of like your mission statements where you could just put a little bit about your organization. Back up to the top, you'll also have a news feed that you'll be able to share as well. This is backed up with Facebook and Twitter, or now X as well. So once you have created this public page, it's just a case of hyperlinking this to your website. And this is where you're going to drive for interest and, for recruitment as well. So once it's on your website, if I want to volunteer and move on to the next step with your organization, I'm going to click on fill in application form. Now this takes me to, there's kind of two steps I have to go through in order to register as an applicant and then, become a volunteer eventually. So the first one is step one, which is where I just need to register with what we call a My Impact page account. So if some of you are not sure what that means, so the My Impact page is and will be the volunteer's own login profile, their own portal. Okay. On this My Impact page, they will be able to update their personal information as of when they can. They'll be able to assign themselves up for any activities that you would have created as an admin. They'll be able to see this in like a list or a calendar format, and they can sign up to, single, multiple shifts. And they'll also be able to log their hours and any feedback fields required as well. And obviously all this information feeds into your Better Impact admin accounts as well. Just to let you know, this is also app-based, the My Impact page. So your volunteers will be able to download this for free on any Android or iPhone device and use it on the go. So on this page here, excuse me, you will be able to add a kind of a volunteers policies message here, and you can add any links. So if they do need to read any policies before moving on to your application form, which I'll show next, this is where you can put these links here. So, yep, if I'm brand new, all I need to do is register with that My Impact page account. I just need to create a username, email address, and my contact address, and then I'm registered. If I already have a My Impact page account, it could be that I've also, volunteered with another organisation that's using Better Impact. I could just log in with my credentials already, so I'm not duplicating an account. Once I've done that, I'm then going to go to your application form. So there we go. You can also, I forgot to mention, you can even have a checkbox, to say that they've agreed and read your volunteers policy before going on to the application form as well. So I'll check that. Log in, and here we go. So this is your application form. Again, this is all branded by organisation. And as you can see here, first of all, we have availability chart. So as an applicant, I can pick and choose when I'm available to volunteer, just by simple checkboxes. Now, this is there by default. By all means, you can create your own one if you don't wish to use this. You'll be able to add your general interests here as well. So I can just pick and choose which fields of interest I'm interested in. You'll add your qualifications. So you'll add all these in your under the configuration icon, which I'll show next, back on the home screen. You can add expiry dates to qualifications as well. And then we've got the additional info, which is pretty much the custom fields, which I like to call your customized data collecting questions. So custom fields could be anything, as you can see on your screen, for example, anything about you. So driver's license, how did you first hear about us? What languages can you speak? Because you can group all these as well into categories. So we've got like a references category. So if you do need to gather references, put all this information on, emergency contact information. You can manipulate what type of answers you'd like with these qualifications and custom fields. So for example, you can have short boxes, long text boxes, you can have drop-down fields, date fields, number fields. You can have check boxes, as we've already seen, and you can also have a file upload as well. So if you do need to gather something like a CV or proof of ID on someone applying, choose a file upload. That would give the opportunity for the applicant to download a file. And you can also make some of these questions to be mandatory as well. So they need to be completed. And once I have completed the application form, I'm going to click on Submit Application. And it's going to take me to the status here as an applicant. So I've already gone into your Better Impact account once I've completed and submitted that application. It's already automatically created that volunteer profile for that particular applicant. So I will land here as an applicant, which is one of the 5 different statuses that a volunteer will go through on their journey with you. So, yep, so they will sit here as an applicant until you determine where they go next, depending on your screening process. We then do have the in-process status, which is, just keeps it separated from applicants, because it could be that you're just, waiting to approve or reject a qualification or a custom field that will come in, because you can set permissions on custom fields and qualifications as well. So there's 4 permission settings. You can have read only, read write with approval, read write without approval, and private as well, which is great for sensitive EDI information. Obviously, if it's set with approval, it will flag up here underneath for you to approve or reject that qualification. Once they have gone through your screening process, you can then move them to accepted, which is all your current active volunteers. Then towards the end, we have the inactive status. So this is more, I like to call this the leave of absence status. So these are all volunteers that, are taking a break from volunteering. It could be medical, maternity leave, just having a holiday, but at some point will return back to your program, and you can dictate whether they're going to be short or long term. And then lastly, we have archived. So this is everyone that's, moved on, resigned, maybe even rejected at the start as well. Just to let you know as well, for billing purposes, how we get, the subscription is based upon the number of volunteers that you manage. We only do bill you for accepted and inactive volunteers as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about the statuses. But as I mentioned, you will also get some system alerts. So it will flag up when there's volunteers' birthdays, anniversaries. So if you want to send them an email, to wish them happy birthday or congratulate them on anniversaries, you can do so. There's also some more system alerts here underneath, as we've already mentioned. You will get, depending on the permission settings, obviously, you will get custom field approvals flag up here along with qualification approvals. And what's really good as well, like I said, with the qualifications, you will be able to add expiry dates to these, which is great for auditing purposes as well. And when qualifications are due to expire soon, again, it will alert you here. So that would just prompt you as an admin just to reach out to that particular volunteer to get them to renew that qualification if they haven't done so already. And hopefully they don't fall into this category of expired qualifications, which, as you know, may not make them eligible now for any of the roles they're contributing towards. So back up to the top, as I mentioned, we're going to focus on these main icons. So I am going to focus firstly on the configuration icon. Whenever I click on any of these main icons at the top, it will bring up all the subcategories here on the left-hand side. Okay, so configuration icon, speaks for itself. That's what it's there. So you'll use this to set up and configure your software to your needs. So yep, you'll be able to create your branding here, which I've mentioned will be shown on the public page, the application forms, and it will also be shown on the My Impact page as well, which I'll show you a bit later on as well. Yep, this is where you'll add your custom fields and the qualifications that you will be using for the application forms, but they're not just used for application forms. You can use custom fields and qualifications throughout the entirety of Better Impact just to gather that data on your volunteers. You can award badges to all your volunteers, the signs of recognition and awards. These could be things like milestone anniversaries, qualifications, feedback fields as well, and hours contributed. You can upload your own images. However, we have got some templates there if you'd like to use them. Then we've got the recruitment section. So yeah, this is where you would create your application forms, your public page. And again, you'll just create these links for this and you add that to your website, and that's where you drive for interest and recruitment. Your activities section here. So this is where you will create these activities. You can give them a schedule. You can have them recurring, as if they're set shifts. You can have them disjointed, one time only, which is more for events, or just no schedule as well. And what's really useful is that you can manipulate who sees what activities based on qualifications as well. So, for example, if you're creating an activity that needs a DBS background check, and you add that qualification to this activity, if I haven't got that qualification as one of your volunteers, it won't even be available, or I won't even be able to see it on My Impact page for me to sign up for that as well. And then we've got some resources as well. So I've got to mention as well, you will be able to create your feedback fields here as well. So again, there's more information you need to collate from the volunteer when they log their hours. And then back to the resources, we've got e-learning modules. So you can create this online learning content for your volunteers to take. I'll just show you quickly what one could look like. As I mentioned, I think someone mentioned in the chat about training. So yep, e-learning modules, definitely the way to go. So you will be able to create these. Just quickly show you what one looks like. So training hand hygiene we created. So basically you're setting this online test, this quiz for your volunteers to take. You could add images, GIFs, videos, links into this as well. Add as much info as you like. And then towards the end, your volunteers, you'll be able to set a kind of a Q&A, pre-populated questions with the right answer, and they'll be able to take this e-learning module training from their My Impact page as well. You can also set passing scores. If you want to be harsh at 100% in order to pass, you can do so, or less lenient at 65, 70. It's entirely up to you. You can also associate qualifications with these e-learning modules. And as I mentioned, your volunteers will be able to take this from their My Impact page as well. And you'll also get a notification as of when someone completes that learning module. Some other resources and features. So we have a document library where you can store documents, waiver forms, policies. We've had a new feature come out recently in November where you can create surveys. You can make them tracked for specific users, or you can have them anonymous as well. So that's a really cool feature. And you will focus on this portion of the software to begin with. As I said, this is where you're going to configure everything to begin with as well. So before we go on to the other icons, I'm actually going to show you what the volunteer profile looks like. So in the top right here, click on this little person. This is where you'll find your volunteers. So I'm going to use Veronica. She's our demo volunteer, Veronica Smith. As you see there, as soon as I start to type in the name, it will come up with the volunteer as a match. So as soon as I click on Veronica Smith, there we go. It's taking me to her profile. She's a fully accepted volunteer. As you can see there, you'll be able to upload a profile picture of Veronica. She'll also be able to do this from My Impact page as well. And on this dashboard here, you can see a quick snapshot of some contact information, history, next shift, most recent contributions. There's some emergency contact information you'll be able to manage and display on her dashboard. There's a bar graph showing exactly where her hours have been contributed over each month. And a pie chart showing you her total hours by activities. And there we go. There's some of the badges as well that Veronica's been awarded. So back up to the top, just through some of these sub-tabs here. So this is where you can see all of Veronica's information, all her contact information. Like I said, she would have filled a lot of this out on the application forms when she applied, and then obviously filled in other custom fields throughout using Better Impact. So here are the custom fields. Again, you can see they're all broken down into categories about you with all of Veronica's answers. References. Now, there's a lot more custom fields on here that perhaps you would have seen on the application form, due to a lot of this being the permission settings as private, which is only for admin eyes only, if you remember. Excellent. Back to the top, I can see her qualifications. General interests. General availability. See there, she's available quite a lot of the time during the week. And miscellaneous. This is where you can see when she joined, and it's you've also got this drop-down menu here. If Veronica's told you that she's going on a cruise for 6 months, so you may want to make her inactive, you can change her status here just by going to the miscellaneous tab and selecting any of them statuses. And then back up to the top tabs here. So we've got communications. And then again, underneath, you've got some more sub tabs. So this is where you can send Veronica an email. I'll mention more about communications shortly afterwards. But this is an email going directly to Veronica. You'll be able to send her a text message. You'll also be able to send her a personal message as well. If you send her a personal message, if you just want to thank her for coming in last minute to help out on an activity, if you select the personal message, then this message will appear on her dashboard of her My Impact page, and only Veronica will see that. We have an email history. So it will log all the outgoing emails, the dates, the subject, and from which administrator. Along with same with the text messages history, and there's also a note log as well. So you can make any notes towards this volunteer. The volunteer won't see this. This is just for admin eyes only as well. Now, obviously, it's great that your volunteers can interact with a little bit more and engage with you a little bit more through the use of their My Impact page, where they'll be able to sign themselves up for activities. However, you can assign volunteers up yourselves. You can do this in bulk or individually. If you're doing it individually, then you can do it from the profile, which you can see on your screen here. Just go to the Assign tab, and I'll be able to sign up Veronica to any of these activities that I created. And again, I can do this individually or in bulk as well. I'll be able to see Veronica's schedule. So what she has up and coming. And I'll also be able to see this in a calendar format. Just click on View Reports. And there we go. This is everything that Veronica has up and coming for the month. I can also email this calendar to Veronica, or even print it off and post it to her if she wants something tangible by hand. She wants to put on a fridge, for example. But she will, if she is using the My Impact page, she'll have all this information there at her disposal. Hours. So, yep, your volunteers will log their hours, and it will all be logged on their profile, and you'll be able to report on these hours as well. This is reports, just if I just want to pull up any reports, if it is just hours contributed for just this particular volunteer. And then we also have committees. So committees is a great way for you to create a group, obviously with your volunteers' consent, to be added to this group where they can communicate with each other via email as well. So it's an email group. So that's called a committee. And yeah, so there we go. That's the volunteer profile. So back up to these icons at the top. So I'm going to click on this people icon. And again, it's brought up all the subcategories here on the left-hand side. So this is where I want to do a search. I can add a granular and do a filter and search on particular volunteers. I'll be able to add an admin into the software here. You've got unlimited admins. We don't charge for how many administrators use Better Impact. I'll also be able to add volunteers manually. So if you do get the odd volunteer that may struggle, with the application process, you can add them in manually. Again, you'll just need to add and create their username and password and address. And again, you can do everything on their behalf as well. But if I want to do a quick search on a group of people, for example, I'm just going to click on the search here. It's going to take me to like this filtering page where I can select my statuses. So let's say I'm just going to choose accepted. Now, if I just want to see a list of all my accepted volunteers, I can do so. I've just selected accepted and I'll press search here. However, if I want to add a search criteria, I'm going to click here and I'm going to say everyone that has a qualification. Then in this drop-down menu, all your qualifications that you would have created will pop up here. So let me just choose DBS background check is equal to passed. Not worried about expiry date for now. Add and go. And there we go. 223 people were found that are accepted that has a passed DBS background check. If this is a list of people that I like to save for future use, all I need to do is click on the save, give it a name, DBS checked, for example. Now check that box that says pin search and then save. Once that's saved, what you've done is, I'll click on this hand, always takes you back to the dashboard. You've created a pin search, which will display here on your dashboard. So basically you're creating a shortcut for that list. And I'm going to show you another example of this as well in communications. And these pin searches are unique to every volunteer as well. So, if I have a colleague that's also saved their pin searches, I won't see them. They're only for your eyes only, your pin searches. So yeah, let's move on to the megaphone icon, the communicate icon. So the three main methods of communication within the software, that's email, text, and you can do a mail out. You can do this in mass, filtered groups or to individuals. So let's send an email. Again, kind of brings up this screen where you select your statuses. So again, I'm just going to choose accepted. Now, let's say, for example, an opportunity's come up where there's a job role that is only covered for weekends only. So what I want to do, I actually want to search for all my volunteers that are available at weekends only. So all I need to do with this drop-down menu, you can see there's so many kind of so much data I can pick and choose what I need to bring a search on. So because we mentioned the weekends, I'm going to choose general availability. Then the chart will pop up. So I'm just going to select Saturday and Sunday. Add and go. And there we go. There's 27 people were found, that give their time at weekends only. Now, below is where I can send an email. So another cool feature we have is email templates. So if there's like a regular email you normally send quite frequently to your volunteers, where it's like monthly newsletters, where it's just a reminder for your volunteers to log their hours before end of week, create a template, save it so you haven't got to retype this all the time. Here we go. So these are ones we created. You have an email template library as well to choose from. If this was a monthly newsletter, there we go, select that. You can add images, attachments, links into these emails as well. It's all saved, then I can send. But obviously this is weekend availability, so I could just put like, hey guys, who's available this weekend for ABC job role? Once you've created your email, just hit the send. You've got a couple of check boxes here. You can make this a priority setting, if it's low, normal, or high. Request receipts when this email is read. You can also send a test email to yourself first to make sure it's all good to go, and so on. So you can do this, like I say, mass, filtered groups. And again, if this is an email group that you generally or frequently communicate with, hit the save, give it a name, weekends only, pin search, save, and then, yeah, that's pinned to your dashboard. This updates in real time as well. So there we go. There's some I've created, weekend availability, volunteers with driving license, qualified for particular activities. You can do things like, volunteers who have logged 50+ hours in the past year. All this information you'll be able to create. And if it's something you're going to regularly use, pin it as a search. It updates in real time. So if I created this weekend availability 2 months ago and a couple have joined before then, they'll automatically be added to that list. And again, you can see there by the images what kind of list this is. Is it an email? Is it just a normal list, or even a text messaging list as well? Just two things to mention on the texting feature. It's only a one-way communication, so you can send texts to your volunteers, but they won't be able to reply. And secondly, all volunteers will have the option, if they don't want to opt in, to receive the SMS service as well. I'll quickly move on to these two icons lastly. So assign, this is where you can check up on your activities, focus on ones that may need some attention, where you can assign volunteers to that. And if that's the case, you can see like from an unscheduled list, a scheduled list, calendar, and so on. If you just choose calendar, there we go, brings up all the activities on a monthly basis. So there's a lot of blue and red there. Red meaning that the activities taking place on that day are not been filled yet. So you may just want to focus on them ones, right through to the blue, which means the minimum amount of volunteers has been matched, and you haven't got to worry about that. So if we have a look at Monday the 6th, for example, there's a bit of red there. If I click on Monday, it should allow me pop up the day. Okay, try a different day. Oh, it's loading. I can save on time. So basically, yeah, when you click on the day, it will come up with them list of activities taking place on that day. The ones with the red exclamation mark next to them are the ones you probably want to, there we go, we'll focus on. So there we go. So like guest services, for example, information booth attendant, no one signed up for this activity yet, and it's taking place on Monday. So I'll probably need to focus on this one. As soon as I click on here, here we go. You can do a quick filtering on your volunteers, press search. Seems to be a lagging issue at the moment, but your list of volunteers will pop up under here that fits that criteria that you selected, which I've got accepted, must be qualified, and no overlapping assignment. And there we go. You can assign them in bulk or individually to the activity, which is the guest services information booth attendant. Okay, and lastly, if we go to reports, you can report on pretty much anything and everything as long as you have that data tracked and recorded. So things like hours by volunteer. And again, here they all are on the left-hand side. So let's select hours by volunteer. Click on here. You can report over any date periods, even custom date periods as well. So I'm going to do, let's do a quick report on all hours by volunteer last year. View report, and this will come up as like a column format, chart format. We can see at the top the volunteer of the most hours, which is Wendy, right through to the bottom of the least. And it does give you total hours, number of volunteers, and average per volunteer. All this information, all this data within the report section, you will be able to pull this data out of Better Impact if you need to and export this to Excel or CSV as well. There's all kinds of different kind of report trends on here. So if we go to the hours trend, I'll do a quick report. This one will come up in like a bar graph format. And there we go, showing you a number of volunteers, hours volunteered, and average per volunteer. And one of my favorites, which I think is really awesome, is you will be able to do a personal profile raw data report as well. So basically what this means is you can make up your own bespoke report. Okay, again, choose your desired status, press search. There's all them accepted volunteers, and then you can pretty much pick and choose what you want to put reports on, whether it's demographics, you know, contact details, custom fields. I'll just choose a couple here. You know, qualifications, general interests, committees, general availability. And once you've created all that information that you want to put onto a report, just click View Profiles. And there we go. It's brought up all that information. You just scroll across, see the rest of that report. And as I've mentioned, you will be able to pull this off to Excel and CSV. Excellent. So that's a little bit about the admin portal. Like I said, there's so much more I can show you, but I know time's against us. And what I'm going to quickly show you now, before we go back to the slides, is what it looks like from the volunteer's perspective. Okay, so, which is the My Impact page. So as I log in, there we go. So obviously this is the desktop version, but as I've mentioned, this is also app-based, so your volunteers can use it on the go. So I've logged in, My Impact page. I'm now Veronica Smith. This is what I can see. So as I've mentioned before, you will be able to customize and brand the My Impact page to your organization. You're going to see a lot of similar information that we did see on the volunteer profile on the admin portal. There's Veronica's badges. There's an image gallery, which is backed up by a Flickr feed. There's a personal message that I mentioned. You know, if you're sending a personal message, only Veronica will see this. You've also got a separate news feed as well. So all volunteers, when they log into their My Impact page, will see this. There's your mission statements again. Back up to the top on the right-hand side, there's the social media feeds. And then right at the bottom, as I've mentioned previously, you have a document library where you can, you know, store documents, waivers, policy forms, volunteer handbooks. You can choose to make these accessible to volunteers as well. And if you do so, they'll have access to these files here in the bottom right. Excellent. So back up to the top. There we go. Like you can see, it's Veronica Smith's profile picture, which I'll be able to edit myself here. Now, this is where I can see all the upcoming opportunities or the activities. I can see this in a list or a calendar format. I'll show you what the calendar format looks like. There we go. So these are all the activities that are visible to me, obviously, that I can see that I'm interested in. So, for example, if I want to select tour guide, I have an overlapping assignment on that one. Overlapping on there as well. There we go. So I just selected tour guide on the 10th. There's some information about the activity, qualifications needed. All I need to do is click sign up and I'm signed up to the activity. We have also got another setting, which you can uncheck self-scheduling, which means I can still sign myself up for the activity, but it would just need approval at your end as an admin for me to be fully assigned to the activity. So it really works well if you've got a particular activity that you need to cherry pick who volunteers for it. And then whoever has signed up for it will land on your dashboard as a pending sign up. And it'll just be up to you as an admin to approve or reject that pending sign up. I can see my schedule if I click on the schedule tab. And again, there's the list format, but I will be able to see this in that calendar format again. This tab is where I log my hours. So I've just come back from an activity. I click onto my impact page. I select the activity I've just come back from. Let's say it was information booth attendant. Click there. Date I volunteered, put in the hours, say 3 hours. And then if you remember me saying you'll be able to add feedback fields to these activities as well. If you have done so, they will be, they'll pop up here and it will prompt me to fill in these feedback fields as well when I go to log my hours. And again, you can have number fields, a long text box and a drop-down menu as well. And then save, and then that's logged, and all this information obviously feeds back into your Better Impact portal. Reports, this is just for my benefit if I just want to pull some reports on my hours and contributions. The contact, this is where I would contact an admin if I have if I need to reach out. It could be one or multiple admins I can choose from. Put in a message there, send an email, and that's going to go to that particular admin. And then on my profile, again, I'll see my contact information, my additional info, which again is all the custom fields. So again, all that similar information we saw on the volunteer profile on the admin side. So many other features as well. You know, you will be able to use, we have a feature called a time clock kiosk and kiosk express, which if you have a device at the place of where they're volunteering, your volunteers will be able to log in and out using their credentials, or they could even scan in and out using a time clock QR code, which is supplied here as well. If I want to take any training in terms of them e-learning modules, here we go. So here's all the ones I've passed them all. There we go. There's that training hand hygiene that we saw earlier on. So there we go, guys. Excellent. All right, let me go back to the main slide. So now, after showing you some of our main features and functionality, we'll now share a short video of why some of our members chose Better Impact and what they love about our software.
So why did I select this product? It integrated with my background check product. I can tell you that the sales and customer support people are outstanding. Direct contact with a person that's talking me through all of the steps, doing training for us and my whole team. And inside the product is so much help 24/7, you can chat with a person who's really a person. At 3 o'clock in the morning when we were first converting, I was talking, I was playing, I was trying to figure out something. I hopped onto the chat and I was thinking, there's nobody going to be around at 3 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. And lo and behold, within a couple minutes, I was talking to a guy who was on the other side of the globe, who was answering all of my questions for me. It is fun and kind, and I don't ever feel stupid. So I can't say enough about the customer support and the sales part.
Yeah, it was value for money and on budget what we wanted. Easy to implement. We had 300 volunteers already on the books. So we were able to extract the information into a spreadsheet, and then they took it away and uploaded all the information in the right place, gave the usernames and the passwords so that we could then write out to the volunteers with. Better Impact is I call it a cradle to grave. It's an application right the way through a volunteering journey. So once they do their application form, they're already setting up their volunteer page. But the team were very, very supportive, as I said already, very, very supportive.
Why did we go with Volunteer Impact? Because there were a few other options out there for us. It's definitely an affordable management system. It was something, it actually cost us less to move towards Better Impact than it was with our former system. There were a lot of volunteer-centered features, allowing the volunteers to own their own experience. And that was something that we saw right off the bat. We had heard of some great features like self-scheduling, and how volunteers can go in and update and change their own addresses, schedule time off for vacations. So these were things that were definitely selling points for us. My Impact page gives the volunteers the opportunity to absolutely own their experience with us. Everything that they need is at their fingertips. If they need extra resources or easy ways to communicate with us, it's all there through that.
I've been using Better Impact since about 2016, 2017, and I absolutely love it. My favorite part of the system, and it's really hard to actually just come up with one thing, but I would certainly focus on the personal profile reporting. You can fully customize it to get as much data as you need, as much information as you need, or as little as you need in that one report. It's incredible.
Excellent. So now that you've all learned a little bit about Volunteer Impact and some of our members' kind of features and functionalities and what they love, I'll now share with you Better Impact's background. So our story, Better Impact started actually by fluke. So our founder, Tony's passion project of building a web-based volunteer management software solution for a residential hospice he founded, actually birthed the beginnings of a global "we're here to help" company. So we're 20 plus years old now. We're a small company, but we have a global impact. We have offices here in UK, Canada, USA, and Australia. However, we have customers all over the globe. We specialize in volunteer management software, Volunteer Impact, but we are also providers of donor, client, and member solutions that all integrate with Volunteer Impact. And lastly, we are a "we're here to help" company as well.